Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to another week of Bat Minute Forever, the podcast where we attempt to unpack the box regarding Joel Schumacher's 1995 Batman Forever, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And reeling you all in, minute by minute, it is I, John Parker.
And upon us looking at someone doing sort of baffling, crazy things, we have two men who are very familiar with the concept of embarking on baffling, crazy projects. We have the hosts of the Groundhog Minute, Sean German and Dave Pallas.
Hello.
Hey, glad to be here in Gotham.
Hey.
Sadly, we don't have any scenes of driving, because I know from Groundhog Minute you really liked your driving discussions, and I was kind of angling to try and get you something in the car.
Oh, and there's a great Batmobile in this film as well.
Oh, thank God you said that, Sean, because I think it's been me and Molly Balin have been the only two people thus far who are like, this Batmobile is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But thank you so much. It's great to get the gang back together. I mean, Michael Goff is back as Alfred. We've got, the man with the Pat Hingle is back. Of course, Mikey Keats is back. We got Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, and I don't know how they did it, but Tom Hanks as the Riddler. I mean, this is a great movie. I just thank you so much for having us here.
No. It's like, what dimension are you calling from, Sean? I want to live there.
Yeah.
No? Yeah, this sounds fantastic.
No Billy D. Williams? What? He had a contract, didn't he?
Well, it's a contentious issue, though, because I think he's come out, because that's just the urban legend that everyone's like, oh, he was contracted to do it. And Billy D. Williams has himself said in interviews, like, no, I was never, they contracted me for one movie, and I was under the impression I would play Two-Face, but they never paid me to not play him in the third one. I didn't have a contract for it, and all this sort of stuff. But despite him saying that, the myth persists that, like, oh yeah, they paid him off to not be in it and stuff. Like, no,
I heard a podcast about it, I think.
Minute 22 begins with Edward Nygma giggling with glee, and it ends 1 minute later with Fred Stickley in a shticky situation. In terms of it is shticky. This is, I hope you guys like Jim Carrey, because you're gonna be getting a ton of them.
All right, so before we start, let me go down the list. I gave you guys a minute to talk. Okay, so Batmobile, yes, I like it. I got the toy. And it does match the color scheme of the film, because if you did have the original Batmobile, it would feel bland. It would feel bland in this movie, which is sad to say, but it would feel bland in this. Everything's because you're right. Everything is super colorful.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't fit it at all.
Yeah, and it's a shame to have Two-Face in this movie like this, because you really could do a real duality, and like it feels like they're trying to do duality with Batman and Batman and Bruce Wayne with Val Kilmer and his therapist. It's like, oh, we're so close to getting something, and then they don't. But yeah, it's not there. He's just wacky, and then though he was in this minute, I decided I was like, I need to watch some Val Kilmer minutes so I know where Val Kilmer is right now while this is happening. And so I watched I think minutes 17 and 18, the one where he's inspecting R&D and he meets Edward Nygma.
Yes.
And what kind of cheeses me off is Bruce Wayne really is giving him, even though Edward Nygma is weird, Bruce Wayne is still giving him the time of day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing it pretty cool.
And actually does, I feel and what pisses me off is I think him saying give my office the blueprints and the stuff, I don't, maybe Edward Nygma probably sees it as he's passing me off, but I look at it as, no, Bruce Wayne's really smart. He'll probably look at your schematics and actually probably think of even a better way to do something like this. Maybe not as violent as what this, how this is, where it's pulling your brain power out. Right. But it's Bruce Wayne's I feel like he could, when he's just manipulating brainwaves is bad. I also go, yeah, but like, wouldn't it be great to try and figure people out in Arkham? Like, the people who are like constantly breaking out and like doing havoc on the city. Wouldn't it be great to like, this could be like version 1.0 of the bat sonar phone from Dark Knight.
Oh my
where
God,
it's
maybe
like,
you're onto something.
It's invasive. It is invasive, but like Batman uses this tool because he needs to break into the psyche of somebody who's in Arkham and who like, they're just so crazy you can't get through to them. And it's like, I now have this ability where I can, we can modulate it so we could calm them down, or we can, make them not want to murder people.
That's the thing, though, because then if you open that door, if you open that box, Dave, you can't close it again, because then it's like, that power could fall into the wrong hands. If you invent the thing, someone's going to be able to duplicate it, and then who's
true.
And that's my problem with the box, in that like, as a MacGuffin or as a plot point, is that there's a lot
of problems with the box.
But I don't think they even really go far enough with the potential of it, because it is like, if you had this now, you could do like Inception kind of friggin' stuff with the box. Like, he can manipulate your brainwaves to make you feel as if you're in a completely different world and stuff. Like, it would be much more of a Mad Hatter plotline. Like,
are you saying you're not impressed by this fisherman?
Well, I gotta talk about this fisherman, okay? Because only in researching this minute did I discover that Ed Begley Jr. is not the fisherman. That it's a different guy.
It's a different guy.
For like since 1995, I thought like, oh, he's transported him, so he is now the fisherman within the show. Because later on in the movie, they have a bit where people are working with the box, and a woman goes in, and then she sees herself like covered in jewels and stuff. So I'm like, well, yeah, he's a like a kind of middle-aged white guy with a mustache. There's a middle-aged white guy with a mustache in the boat.
We just all look alike to you, don't we?
You all look the same.
I think it is a little bit. I think I had that back in season 1, where I was saying like I used to get Jack Palance mixed up with the guy from RoboCop all the time. It's like, they're just old white guys, they just all look the same. But this was baffling to me then, to find out like, oh, that's an actual different person. So it is that the box at this point is just a 3D TV. It's like, I'm presuming it releases some sort of endorphins in you as well, so like you're kind of so instantly placated by it, and it's kind of calming you down artificially that way. But I was under the impression like he had become the fisherman at this point, and that was kind of why he was so wowed at everything. But no, the fisherman's actually like a kind of recognizable actor too. Now I feel like a tit for not knowing who it was earlier, because he's the guy from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. He's the, Norman, you're out, during the boardroom sequence. He's like, oh, I remember that guy.
Okay.
That's
I
him.
Didn't realize.
He's one of the golfers in Falling Down, because, worked with Joel Schumacher before. He's in 8mm as well. Played Boris Karloff in Gods and Monsters, so Tim Burton would probably be quite happy with the casting.
Oh my God.
He's also...
I just look anything like him.
But he also is in something, this will be interesting to previous guest Briley Bishop, he's in something called Being Michael Madsen, because we found out randomly that Briley Bishop has worked with Michael Madsen.
Was that a follow-up to Being John Malkovich, and they just like, oh, we'll do a whole series where people become different actors?
It's the straight-to-DVD sequel.
That was Michael Madsen's entire idea, but he's just like, I saw this movie, and I thought I should have been in it, so we just made the same movie. But it's got Michael Madsen in it instead of Malcolm.
Does Riddler's plan in this movie feel familiar to another 1995 very colorful film aimed at children about a maniacal crazy person that's using a colorful thing to hook people and control their minds?
I've been telling people for years, it's Toy Story. Exactly. I'm glad you recognize it, Dave. Yes.
I've never, ever thought about this, but you're right.
I didn't say it's not Toy Story.
I know.
Of course it's Page Master. We all know it's Page Master.
Because I had it sitting in the theater. Whenever the second one of these films, I don't know which one I saw in order, but it's very familiar to Ivan Ooze's character in Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. It's been a long time since I've watched that.
All right, I'll give you the second summary. He is an alien, of course. He's made of he's an ooze. The actor that plays him is Belloc. So that's a fun little thing. And essentially he makes ooze, and he essentially is like, I'm going to take over Earth. I'm not going to do it the old-fashioned way that, like, Rita and Zed always did, which was essentially just through straight power, where, like, we're just going to throw putties and monsters at the world and try to destroy the world that way and take it over, because the Power Rangers always stop us. So he went a different way, where he essentially, like, made Ooze, because, like, it's the 90s, and, like, Gak and everything is popular, so he made this purple Ooze.
Oh, I love Gak.
And he's like, and you could use it for anything, and all the kids are like, oh man, I gotta have the Ooze and stuff. And it's such like he made it so like it started mind controlling parents, and he was gonna be like, I'm going to essentially kill the parents, like I'm gonna have them lemmings off of a cliff, and then I'll be like, I'm gonna be able to like take out so many people because like, it would just be kids, and I could easily take out them and take over the world. And I think don't quote me on this, but I feel like the same production the quote factory he uses to produce the Ooze is the same factory scene that Jim Carrey later does when he's describing the box. It's like a miscellaneous white piped warehouse, and I'm like, it feels like I was watching that as a kid and being like, this is all familiar to me. Like I'm like, even my brain's like picking it up, like this just feels like the same thing. I'll just mind control people, and I'll just with a very colorful scheme that everyone wants in their house, and I'll take over the world that way.
I love the idea that Batman ripped off the Power Rangers. And somehow, Power Rangers sounds like it did it better. It's less ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing, though. In talking about, again, the wasted potential of the box here, is that you feel like they'll be building up to, like, well, because to even say, like, mind manipulation. It's like, why isn't at the end Edward Nygma controlling people? Like, why isn't he like using them? Like, you could have done like a really twisted version of like the ventriloquist with this, where he's like, oh, he can use people as puppets now. Why isn't Batman having to fight like people on the street because random people are attacking him? Because Edward Nygma is able to control them and stuff. It's like
Alfred should attack him, and he has to punch Alfred and knock him out.
Yeah, it's 100% like they've got this, and it's introduced in this minute now. Which is the thing I'm still kind of like, I guess that works in that he is able to suck their mind power, but I'm not too sure if because in the scripts and stuff,
zombies.
Well, the thing is that I thought it would have been more chilling had instead of him dumping Stickley out the window at the end of the week, he overdoes the box, so Stickley is left like brain dead, basically. Because there's all this explanation. What harm is he doing to the people? Like he's stealing their secrets, yeah, sure, but shouldn't it be something like, oh yeah, he's trying to take like a little bit of their IQ points down? So Gotham's becoming more placid and dumbed down as the movie progresses because the Riddler is sucking out their intelligence stuff. Nothing like that in the movie. Like,
I've got that.
Yeah,
as a
that
note
sounds like
in
a
some
great
of the-
movie. That sounds great.
I've got that as a note in some of the later minutes here. Like, what is the downside of this device? Right, he uses it. Everyone's happy, and okay, he gets smarter. But surely this is amazing technology. Everybody could be like a big hive mind and share knowledge.
Yeah, that's just more because at the end when he's like talking about like, oh, you can get credit card details, bank codes, and sexual fantasies and stuff. It's more like, you should be more like, I can get nuclear launch codes. I have the information to everything. I can blackmail whoever I want because I know all your secrets and stuff. But it's just kind of like, oh, I could go out and rob a bunch of stuff if I wanted to. And it just feels like this idea, like the box as a concept, is maybe not with the Riddler, but like Mad Hatter, or the ventriloquist if you want to go crazy with it, and have you could do so much more with this idea of like, oh, he's infiltrated every household in the city with a mind manipulation device, and all he does with it is sit in a big chair, and then he's getting smarter, like he's learning their secrets, but then he himself is becoming more intelligent. Like, is the electricity going into his head? Is it making his brainwaves more powerful? Is that why he's just generally smarter? Or is he saying, like, I've grown smarter in that I now have all of the information that Fred Stickley had? Which is like, I know what day he cuts his toenails. That kind of... Is that the level of smartness he's getting? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just sort of like vaguely this amorphous cloud of like, he's sucking knowledge out of people's heads and it's their personal knowledge, but he's also just getting smarter as well. And it's, I think it's a good idea, not pushed far enough that they just
he starts off too smart for my liking. Like, he's already a super smart inventor.
Crazy. Like, he doesn't get like, he's pretty much the same level of crazy. There's no escalate. They need a whiteboard. All right, this is what they should have done. This is what the writers, damn it, should have done. And I feel like it's really easy. You get several, and you get a pack of colored markers. You take the green one, that's like the Riddler's plot line. You take purple, that's Two-Face's plot line. Black, that's Batman's plot line. And then a little red one for Robin's, the Robin B plot.
If you have to have Robin.
If you have to have it, I'm just saying, like, it's going to be there. Let's not ignore it, but, like, let's see what we can do. And you just got to be like, with the green marker, be like, his plan is to this, which is then to that. What's his end game is to that. And then, yeah, you go to Two-Face, it's just Joker chaos. Okay, well, do we really need Two-Face then? If, like, he has no need to partner up with him. He just wants to be crazy. There's no Two-Facing to it. It's no, like, It's like Harvey Dent ever comes in and goes, like, the Harvey Dent side goes, oh, no, this is bad, and I got to call Bruce. No, there's never that. So that's...
No, he's just crazy.
Wait, just crazy. It's just Joker negative 0.0, technically. Because he has some kind of, it sounds like he has he has a lair. Do you know where his lair was? Because I feel like it's in a skyscraper, and I was always like, why doesn't Batman just, like, go in there and then just beat the snot out of him?
Oh, the Riddler's hideout. It's like it's out on an island by itself, and then
Two-Face's though. I'm saying Two-Face's original, like where Drew Barrymore and the other woman are.
Oh,
like,
I think it's just like a random warehouse, from what I can tell.
Okay,
I got the impression it was a skyscraper too. It felt like they were at the top of a tall building.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. To that point, is that, like, well, the partnering up with Two-Face is more like what I would have had done is, like, okay, so he's got a mind manipulation device, so he can turn people into his soldiers, but not yet. So he needs clout and, like, backing to be able to embark on his, to steal his production capital and all sorts of stuff. So he goes, and because he knows Two-Face has a gang, I'll get myself in with Two-Face in the gang, and then they'll do these crimes for me. And then as the box develops and it grows, larger and more popular, he should be like, okay, I don't need this gang anymore. I'm going to use my own foot soldiers because I can turn whoever I want into a soldier, like a zombie for me now. And then he should turn on Two-Face. Maybe at the end, then Two-Face is like a Riddler minion. He's basically like been like brain zonked. And then you could have a thing where, like, he's acting things out, but maybe what's actually happening is within his head, because he's permanently in, like, box world. Maybe he's actually, like, seeing his life as Harvey Dent again. He's actually quite happy within the mind manipulation. Like, his physical body and his mind are separated. So then at the end, when Robin's coming in for revenge, he has a choice of, like, I could kill this guy, or I could just leave him zonked out in box world where he is happy as Harvey Dent within his own mindscape and stuff. And it's like, there's so many things you could have done with this idea. But there's like...
Well, yeah, that sounds great. And then also from, like, Batman's perspective could be he thinks he's fighting Harvey Dent, and then using his world greatest detective skills figures out, oh no, this is just, he's a puppet. It's really there's someone behind Harvey, someone behind Two-Face, and I got to find that person. And
everything we've all said has been 1,000 times better, and we like the movie.
I really like this movie, but it is just like, if you put down that plot point, mind manipulation box infests city, and you don't use it for anything but, he just sits and the big green beam goes into his head, and he's stealing bank codes and stuff. Like, it just seems a bit like, not really. I know you got a lot of other stuff going on in the movie, like, you're pretty busy, but you could have amped this up a little bit. But I will also say as well, like, because I'm saying there that, like, it seems much more of like a Mad Hatter plot because he's all about mind manipulation and stuff. I do believe that this whole scene kind of indicates where the inspiration for this version of the Riddler would have come from, beyond Frank Gorshin and whatnot. In that, at this point, there would have been like 2 episodes of the Batman animated series out that featured the Riddler. And one of them is, If You're So Smart, Then Why Aren't You Rich? Where Edward Nygma is a, sort of put upon employee at a games company. And he invents this game that makes millions and millions of dollars, and he's got an asshole mustachioed boss who sort of ends up screwing him over. He makes a fortune off Nygma's invention, and then Edward Nygma becomes the Riddler, kidnaps that boss, and then Batman and Robin have to go into this virtual reality game maze thing and rescue the guy. But it's because the guy looks a bit like Stickley. I'm imagining literally as the Bachelors, like the people who did the first draft of the script. They're like, what does the Riddler do? Oh, I saw an episode of the show the other day. He does stuff with, like...
That's all the research they needed.
And then there's another episode then, like, what is reality? It was all about, the Riddler has created like this virtual reality world and stuff.
What's with all this virtual reality stuff in the Riddler?
I think maybe at the 90s it was just hot, and they're just like...
I think they were scared of, like brain teasers were too 70s. It was too much, like, it was too parlor games for the Riddler. Like, we gotta jazz him up, we gotta sex him up, and it was just like, virtual reality, now he's a mind controller. And
That's
you're
cool.
right, though. But you're right, that's also, they're starting, they're tapping into Mad Hatter's storylines. It's like, well, let the Mad Hatter do Mad Hatter stuff. Like, it's like they want to do Mad Hatter, but they don't want to get involved with the Alice in Wonderland stuff. They're like,
Yeah, to be fair,
Disney
that would be too far for this movie.
Like, Jervis Tetch as a character is like, oh, he could be great. He could be really creepy. And there's like, even in like Grant Morrison's version of him, where it's like, he's basically like a pedophile, basically, is what they say about Jervis Tetch. Like, he could be a really creepy, disturbing character. But if you do use him, then you have to have all the Alice in Wonderland stuff. And I can imagine a lot of people be like, I can't be bothered doing all that. Like, Alice in Wonderland's its own thing. I don't want to have to pepper up my Batman with all that, you know? It's just, that's just like, oh, the Riddler does it. There you go. He's all about mind stuff too, because he's intelligent and whatnot. But I'm more and more feeling now, though, as the recently announced Paul Dano is playing the character in Matt Reeves' The Batman. But because they keep announcing more and more characters, I'm really feeling that like they're going to go the Long Halloween route with that version of the Riddler, where he's like really pathetic. Because I think Jeff Loeb just does not like the Riddler. Because every time he has him, he's just this little dweeby, sleazy guy who everyone kind of makes fun of because his whole shtick is puzzles. You know, I don't believe a puzzle. It's a thing.
But why don't they make the puzzles dark and scary? You know, like a cat and mouse game with the police and a super criminal who murders people. You could make that really cool. You could send these riddles to them in like a ransom note kind of style. They have to figure it out before the next death.
I think, Riddler essentially was evolved into Jigsaw. Like, essentially, it's like, there's some Riddler, whether it's a puzzle or it's a physical thing. You have to do a physical, horrible thing to yourself so something else worse doesn't happen.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to see that in a movie.
I think you could also do like, they won't do it now, I guess, because it's already a film. But like, Die Hard with a Vengeance. There you go. There's a Riddler story. He's got Batman out in the middle of the day because he's like, well, Batman never comes out in the day. I'm going to have him out in the day to screw him over, and then he has to run around from phone booth to phone booth, answering riddles for me. Otherwise, I'm going to blow up this and that. And then it turns out the whole time it was just a distraction because I've actually got another big plan on underneath this whole thing.
To steal credit card numbers.
I'm so angry. I love that idea because that's a great way to force Batman into doing something he can't, he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Where he has to do it I love that idea, like during the day. And you're right to that.
I think they're just maybe a bit scared of like it'll look way Adam West if we have Batman just running about the street in broad daylight.
Maybe only a few scenes then. But in this, and in this minute in particular, you do get something which you're either going to love or hate, I think. Because as the Riddler flips the switch and it all goes haywire, he basically just turns into a caricature of Jim Carrey.
Yes.
I've got a real beef with I think that, and it'll continue throughout this week and the next week, for all his intelligence and newly acquired intelligence at the end of this week, Edward Nygma is kind of a bit of an idiot because he's just like, oh, I'm losing resolution, more power.
Yeah, resolution, that really troubled me.
The one thing as well is like, well, so he's doing a very cautious experiment. And he just yanks the lever. As if you think he'd be like slightly calibrating it and stuff.
Nah, he doesn't care.
Like maybe like freaking cup of coffee falls over the keyboard and that's what makes it go crazy or something. But there's the fact he's just like, literally, I've got one big lever that I pull, and I have no other way to calibrate this experiment. It's either nothing or everything all at once.
And then he says he's losing resolution, and the picture cuts to, it's like a pressure gauge.
Yeah.
Like,
what the hell is that?
Like, what? So he's at, this is like 7,500 resolution. I need it all the way at 16,000. Like, what? It doesn't, like, what is that gauge? That's the resolution gauge? What?
I think they just threw that word in, resolution, without sort of thinking about what it actually means.
I appreciate that it has to come together in the edit because they give the scene the appropriate amount of energy. But so he amps up all this power, And so, like, Edward Nygma's going crazy and doing his all that business. Why is Stickley? He's still just watching a 3D fishing program. Why is he going like, woo? Like, it seems like he's on a roller coaster or something. Like,
I was just trying to figure out, because really the electrical brain drain doesn't happen until he pulls the power. So, you just have Edward Nygma just wearing this harness, but there's nothing happening. He's just wearing this light harness like he's Doc Brown.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the light harness means now in this point. Then he pulls it. Then by accident he starts brain draining him.
That's a good point. Hang on, yeah.
Well, I'm assuming like like this minute is not scripted. They just got Carrie and an Egg Bagley, and they were like, "You guys just act nuts."
Yeah,
and
Jim,
then,
do your thing.
And then we're gonna CGI. We're gonna add like a fisherman later, but you guys, this is like improv. Like I'm assuming, particularly, what's his name, Stickley, like the woo, yeah. His reaction to watching this fishing thing doesn't make any sense.
Why isn't it a roller coaster? Like, because that would be cool. He could feel like he's having a thrill ride, not watching a fish.
watching an old man fish.
Exciting
like,
stuff.
Well, again, at the time I thought he is now switched over into the body of the fisherman or something. But again, it could have been they told Ed Begley Jr. like, "Oh, we need you back to record this bit where you're a fisherman. I can't make it. Oh, we'll get a guy who looks just like you."
It'll be fine.
But I will actually say though, Sean, like you are correct in that the scene, like I think this is Carrie improving all the dialogue here, but there was versions of the thing scripted, and there's one thing like when you read it, like, particularly the production draft, it was like the Kevin Goldsman draft, that like it screamed one thing to me. I'll read you out like a little bit of it here.
Oh, so I think I know what you're gonna read.
But because he said, like, "Oh, hell, I'm a genius. More than a genius. Several geniuses. Genie. Then he says, as doing the voice of a short order cook, "Yo, Charlie, give me an order of brain deep fry. Extra well done. Hold the neurons." Switches to a scientist. Patient exhibits symptoms of psychoneuro overload. Notation. Obviously, higher settings can be dangerous to the subject. Riddle me this, Fred. Blah, 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 blah. Then he goes into what it says urban. It says, new from Brainbach, the pump. Think faster, reason higher, outcognate every honey in the court of life. The pump, yeah. Then he switches to Shakespearean, saying, "Ho, Mark, I sense an odd penchant for the anagraphic, the acrostic, the cryptographic. What does this bode? Answer me, Mercutio, you little runt." Then he switches to a gourmet, does a whole big shtick as well. And then at the end of that he turns into Groucho Marx. And there's one thing reading all that is that what really struck me is, when Kevin Goldsman was writing that draft, he was under the impression that Robin Williams was going to be playing the Riddler, because that is 100% Robin Williams' shtick, to be like, "Oh, he's switching into different voices, and he's doing, I can't believe it, I'm losing to a rug," and all this kind of, he was just expecting, like, "Oh, he'll be doing it, I'll write material for Robin Williams," and then he'll do all the voices. We'll probably have about 5 hours of stuff to cut out, because it's Robin Williams, and he'll improv about 20 other different impressions and stuff. And then at one point they were just like, "Nah, it's Jim Carrey this time." And then it was just like, "Jim, just try to make the scene work. Just go, just say whatever you need to
be Jim.
Just don't talk out of your butt."
I'm surprised he doesn't at any point,
It's what was it? Is he's essentially doing what, an entire season of In Living Color, right? Like just all in a minute.
Yeah, every character. Yeah. And in the Goldman draft, there's a description that I really like. Because it's his reaction, Nygma, to the box. It says, "Edward, close up. The effect on him seems to be quite the opposite to Stickley. Invigorating, sexual." And I just I kind of want a little bit more of that, because he seems to sort of feel like it's a drug almost.
Yeah,
he gets addicted to it immediately, doesn't he? But I want him to be kind of getting off on it.
I think it is. It's hinted at later in the movie, kind of, by like Two-Face's. "Oh, a little bit more, thank you." Like he's getting a high off it, and I think there is a cut scene where Two-Face, Riddler, and Sugar and Spice are all kind of sitting around passing the box around like it's a joint, basically, and talking about how great everything is and stuff. And like, I actually we'll cover that when we come to the point of the film where that scene would have been. But I actually thought it was pretty fun. It's like, yeah, it's like, it's getting across the point that like they're all getting a high off it. That's why Two-Face is so complicit in having this really annoying asshole in green spandex hanging about with him. Where he's like, oh, he's got me this box thing, so
He's my dealer.
pretty much, yeah.
I did get the vibe when they're all together like that, like it's an opium den. That kind of thing, and they're passing around the pipe. Is it a pipe you have opium with? I don't bloody know.
Yeah, I think it is. I'll tell you, Two-Face could use it too. It's like, this guy's angry.
Needs to calm down, loosen up a little.
I do love the visuals in this scene as well. I mean, I hate the 3D effect. That's stupid, right? But everything else, the colors are beautiful. It looks like a Frankenstein movie or something.
Yes. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I have to say, I actually think the 3D kind of holds up. I was like,
It holds up like it looks, like a good effect. But I don't like us seeing it this way. Like what? I'm not getting the impression he feels like he's in the scene. It's 3D, like you've put glasses on.
They should have done something else when he pulls the lever. The fisherman... You're right, the fisherman... It should have been a fishing show on a roller coaster, or like everything around him becomes crazy colorful or something.
He turns into the fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he's like flopping around on a hook.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, it does become aggravating that they didn't change the screen. They just were like, we only have this one 3D CGI thing we did. we just filmed this guy fishing for 5 minutes. It's all we have. Like, we didn't just... And then later they're like, well, can you make it more exciting? Like, we'll just have him go EU in front of the TV.
That's fine. That will do. It is a shame. This whole movie, though, is like... I enjoy it, and Niall, I know you love it.
Yeah.
But every scene, it's like, there's missed opportunities left and right. Just to make it perfect, almost.
Is this the one where the toy companies got involved? Or was it just Batman Robin?
Oh no, it was this one as well, where Joel Schumacher had to go around convincing them to like, you should be involved with Batman stuff. Like, very kind of bizarre. Like hear Joel Schumacher talk about this movie. It's crazy to think about, because he's like, nobody wanted another Batman film. Like, he keeps emphasizing in interviews, like, I had to go to toy companies to pitch them. You should be making Batman toys. You should be
it's the toy companies and the fast food companies who didn't want the Batman movie. Everyone else did. Everyone else seemed to like Batman Returns.
I think he seems to be under this impression that like, oh yeah, nobody was asking for it. Like, there was no studio demand and stuff. Considering our modern climate, where it's like, you can't stop them making these things. The idea that like in '93 or whatever, there was just like, maybe we'll make another Batman movie.
That there was a movie studio that said, nah, I think we've had enough comic book movies.
And
we could maybe do with a little bit of that these days.
Yeah. But the idea that Joel Schumacher was having to go to toy companies to say, you should invest in this movie because it's going to be a big deal. And the toy companies are like, Batman? Toys? Are you crazy?
He took his idea on like Dragon's Den, or what's the US one? Shark Tank, is it?
Shark
Tank, yeah. So
it's kind of, so to Dave's question, like this is sort of the opposite of Batman and Robin with respect to, the merchandising and toy companies and everything, which is so crazy because, as you guys talked, Batman '89 was huge. I mean, I don't know what it was like in the UK. If you were in the States, if you were in the United States in 1989, like, you could not avoid Batman. It was like everywhere, literally everywhere. The merchandising, it was crazy. And this was the highest grossing film of 95. Like, the idea that you'd have to force people into another Batman movie.
Well, now I'm very curious to see, like, the Joker has, like, I think it's destined to pass 1 billion. And it's like the whole kind of almost the appeal of the Joker was like, yeah, it's one and done. This is a one-off story. But, like, I find it very, very doubtful that Warner Brothers aren't sitting around going, like, so how are we going to make a sequel to this Joker film?
How are we going to make a sequel?
Because we're going to have to make another one. Like, clearly, everyone made so much money off it.
Are there toys?
No, look, there isn't. There's a lot of...
Are there Joker toys?
I'm looking now. There's a lot of custom figures. Like, someone made one. Someone made an Arthur Fleck and a... 1/6 Arthur Fleck and a 1/6 Joker in final outfit, but they're each like custom made $200.
Oh, there's got to be like,
a
Funko thing and the McDonald's Joker meal and that's got it.
There's a John McClane head. There's a John McClane head's really good for $24. Like, we got to put a figure on it, but we can do it, guys.
Let's do it.
That's the thing though, because I can imagine like, oh well, yeah, it's 18 certificate, R-rated. We're not going to be releasing toys for kids of the Joker, but you think that they did it for Terminator back in the day. They did it for Aliens. I was like,
Yep.
yeah.
When I was a kid, I had the Alien toys and the Terminator toys, and I think I had RoboCop, and they knew kids were watching those films.
Although to be fair with Joker, it's like, well, who do you make toys of beyond him? Like, you can buy Murray Franklin, comes with a desk,
Hey, I'd buy it.
And like, here's what you go, Shea Wiggum, removable hairpiece. Like, there you go. I was really gutted. Like, we did a whole episode about that Joker movie, and I never, because his hair in that film, like the detective Shea Wiggum from Boardwalk Empire and stuff, the fact that his hair is so distracting, and I never made a Shea Wigham joke that whole episode. I was so disappointed in myself after. I was like, damn it was right there. But
let's special edition it. Let's go in. Let's edit.
Everyone delete that version of the Joker episode you have. We're going back in.
I do like as well Nygma's line. This is a genuinely good line, I think, where he's like, Stickley, I'm having a breakthrough. And a breakdown? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because he knows, like, oh, this is actually like really messing up my brain. But I don't care because it's like heroin.
Yeah. Now, did he is this like the origin story? Was this like an accident that that Stickley's brain got sucked into Nygma's? Because originally, because I thought that he just wanted to demonstrate that I can, demonstrate the technology that he could beam an image into Stickley's head and kind of show, look, see, this works. You're going to feel like you're actually there fishing or whatever. And then it was just kind of an accident that it like kind of flipped in reverse and sucked the stuff out of the other guy's head.
Yeah, that's the vibe you get. Yeah.
But if that's the case, then why is Nygma wearing any headgear at all?
That's a very good question. Why is he? Can he see the fish also? Is he capable of seeing? I'm seeing what Fred Stickley is thinking.
Yeah, maybe that's another one. That's the prototype, and this is the second version. I don't know.
So maybe they're supposed to be wearing similar things so they can both, so he can see what Stickley's seeing, but then he overpowers it, and that forces it reverses the stream, so then the brain gets sucked out of or copied out of Stickley, and it goes into Nygma. And of course, the added intelligence, it's just, but he's still got like his head doesn't get bigger, so it's like more information, but in the same size. So he gets smarter, but it also turns him evil.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
None of it makes a lick of sense.
Nope.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But I love the gear. There's like a blender. There's like there's neon lights. And there's some kind of like, it's like when you go to the optometrist, all the different lenses and stuff that flips in front of the eyes. At least in Stickley's version of the headgear, it's got all these like eye things for no apparent reason, because he's like, it's beaming. He's seeing things, but it's being beamed right into his head. It has nothing to do with his eyes.
Yeah, he doesn't need to look at it, does he?
I keep feeling like the thing that's on top of the TV, like that's a prop from another movie. Like, it looks very familiar. The kind of dome, the Devo-esque dome with the antenna coming out.
It's like the top of Robbie the Robot, like his head or skull or whatever, or something like that.
You kind of hit it on the head too, Dave. Earlier, it's like, yeah, it is the whole apparatus is very, particularly Stickley's one. It is very Doc Brown, like Back to the Future.
Yes.
Like, I'm surprised they didn't have that in there or something, or at least have like on the pressor gauge like 1.21 gigawatts or something.
Oh, that'd have been great.
But like, no, they didn't go that far. But it's kind of hard to tell, like, when to, because these minutes kind of blend together.
Blend.
Because any notes for like next minute could also be for this minute, and vice versa. So it's kind of hard to tell, like, are we done with this minute in particular? Should we move on?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, because let's balance it out. That's what I'm saying. Let's balance out the minutes so they're all like, pretty evenly chunked. Because you're right, it's like the same bit. We're doing the same bit 3 times, just letting Jim Carrey go crazy.
Yeah, well, any of the scenes with Jim Carrey, pretty
basically,
just
and he's just in exposition mode all week this week, isn't he? He just explains what is going on, literally.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask a question though, because I'm taking notes on it for everybody. I think so far we've had a few yays and a few nays. So just to end on this note, in the original draft, like, well, actually, first off, what do you two guys think of the name Edward Nygma? Like, do you think it's too stupid, or are you just like content because you just know he's always been called Edward Nygma, so that's perfectly fine?
As long as I've like been conscious of Batman, I'm always fine with Edward Nygma. I think it's fine to have a funny name. Like, I feel like there's so many villains that have names that just sound like evil for the sake of it. So it's kind of fun to just have a guy whose his name's wacky and his character's kind of goofy. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's there. It's it's very comic book, but it's a comic book character. So I mean, it's corny and it's cheesy, but it's, it is what it is, I guess I would say.
I'll say that in the original draft of it, they did change his name, and he was originally supposed to be called Lyle Heckendorf. So are you yaying that name or naying that name? Because we've had a mixed reaction so far.
Yeah, I think you go with Ed Nygma there.
Okay.
The Lyle Heckendorf sounds a little too forced. Like, they were like, come up with the name right now. Lyle Heckendorf. Like, just like
that's almost definitely what happened.
Yeah. Whereas like Edward Nygma, I almost like make a sly smile out of it. Like Edward Nygma, get it? And I go, yeah, it's comic book. I like it. I get it. Whereas Lyle Heckendorf just sounds like Humperdinck or something. Just like
yeah. If you're gonna have a stupid name, go all the way with it.
It's like, Chris Sarandon is back playing like Prince Humperdinck's long lost nephew. Like Lyle Humperdinck in Batman Forever.
Yes. See, another way this movie could have been better.
But also, I think you like the temptation was too much to not do it. But I think you guys, because of like the messages we've been having back and forth prior to recording, will get this. But like this season on Monday, I'll try to throw out a riddle to people to see if they can get it, and if they don't get it, it'll be answered on Friday. But because I've been watching one thing in particular that had a whole bunch of riddles in it, I have to ask, which is easier to spell? Riddle me this. Which is easier to spell, Twiddly-dum or Twiddly-dee?
Wait, this is the riddle. Is this an actual riddle?
Yeah, this is a riddle. Do you guys, know the answer?
Which is easier to spell?
Well, I mean, I feel I cheated. You just played the video. I watched the video earlier today of Frank Gorshin doing the dance.
See, I didn't do my homework. I didn't watch the video.
Oh my
Neither
god!
I gotta figure it out.
In Discord. I'm playing the Division. I'm looking at the clips. I'm watching the Frank Gorshin video. All right, I was doing it, Sean. All right, I don't even have any notes. If you look, I have 2 sentences written down in my notes. That's how I've been working right today. All right, come on.
See, I didn't even watch it. I was out doing the shopping.
Oh my god! You guys have to watch it between episodes because I want to. It's a hint for what we'll be talking about next minute. So I'll reveal the answer then because there's I can't wait to talk about that thing. But you should definitely watch that clip between episodes because it's amazing.
Oh yeah, make sure you put that in when you're ready. Put that definitely in the listeners group.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I'm ready to pack up this box of this minute if you guys are and move on to the next one, which is very similar to the content of this minute as well.
Oh yeah, but it's all great, people. So do tune in.
Oh yes, yeah.
And we've got our wonderful guests joining us again. Would you both like to tell our listeners where they can find you and your shows and whatnot online? I don't know. Who should go first? I don't know. Dave, you go first.
Okay. Yes, I am working on 5 Minutes of Mystery where I and guests, we sit down, we talk about the 1999 superhero comedy ensemble with Ben Stiller called Mystery Men. So working on getting those episodes out on like a monthly basis. And then, Sean and I, we worked on Groundhog Minute about a year or so ago. And we working on his holidays with his brother. The holiday movies. Sean, explain.
Yeah, so I do holiday movies where we talk about movies for the holidays. And so this year, just this past year for Thanksgiving, we did Home Alone, and then we talked about the Muppet Christmas Carol for Christmas. For people that like the goose, So you can find that. I did the Groundhog thing with Dave, as he said. You can find that at Groundhog Minute. My new podcast with my brother Brian is at nextscenepod.com, and if you can't remember that, all my podcast stuff is at catandshawn.org, and that's cat, CAT, and Sean, SEAN.org, and that links to all my stuff, including my guest appearances like this one.
Hey.
Hey.
Obviously your best work, of course.
Obviously my best one. Yeah, so if you want to hear, like we did, previous incarnations of the Batman movies, and there's links to that on there. So do the thing.
Yeah, and we will see you again on Wednesday for more Bat Minute Forever.
Next time. Somebody once told me Ed Begley's in this movie. He plays a giant tool named Fred. His brain was getting fried with a fish between his eyes and a prototype box on his forehead. Now, the shtick keeps coming and it won't stop coming. Nygma's feet flailing like he's hit the ground running. Doesn't make sense in this box test run that Ed gets smart but Fred doesn't get dumb. A boosted IQ we're gonna see sucked from the head of poor Fred Stickley. Intelligence seems to grow through a scary green glow. Hey now, in next minute, we see why Carrie got paid. Hey now, in next minute, our opinions get laid. You can listen to it on the same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Whew. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.